What's going on YouTube? So we got a quick video for you guys today. We're going to be installing this GFB 3 boost controller on my buddy's Genesis Coupe 2.0t with a big turbo setup. It's very easy, it's straightforward. I'm not going to explain a whole lot. I'm just going to pretty much run you through the basics on installing this kit. First thing you want to do is go ahead and figure out where you're going to want to penetrate the firewall to be able to feed the harnesses and feed the vacuum line. So if you come down here, you will see that my wire and my vacuum hose is already ran. So you can kind of see it right there. I pretty much had to drill a hole right next to where the hood latch is at because this customer already has gauges installed, so we had to make another entry for the wiring and whatnot to go through it. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like inside. So as you guys can see, this is pretty much where the hood latch will go at, the cable for it, and then right next to it is our new passway. So you can see that I do have my vacuum hose already ran through it and my harness. And here we are up here now, and this is where I decided to mount the controller at, just right there. You see at the end of the controller, it does have a vacuum tube right here, and it also has a harness right here. What I'm going to be doing is pretty much feeding both of these into this area right here, this little crack right here, just so it could be pretty much hidden and it won't be visible. As far as the actual power harness for the connector for the sensor, which is this guy, I am going to be running it along the engine harness back here, and I'm pretty much going to land it right here and zip tie it down back here. Reason being is because it's closer to our wastegate, which is right here, and we can get our turbo reference from the intake manifold, which is over here, or from the turbo itself on the compressor housing. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick and show you guys what it looks like when it's finished. All right guys, and you can see, this is pretty much zip tied with the rest of the harnesses going into the firewall. All right guys, so what we're gonna do now is pretty much get these two connectors from the boost controller and actually feed it down here. Also guys, I just remembered before we send this down, we're actually gonna grab this little guy that comes in our package, and we're gonna go and pretty much install it right here. This is pretty much like a straight fitting for it, a straight fitting adapter, so it can go from here and then hook up straight up to this other vacuum line. So we're going to put this on real quick. That's how it's going to look like, the smaller barb onto that. And now all you're going to do is pretty much feed this vacuum line up here, connected, and that's it. All right, and this is what it's going to look like once you're finished. You can just pretty much go ahead and pull the excessive slack back down like so, and then just zip tie it and make it look pretty so it can't be visible. And then for this connector right here, pretty easy. All you can do is just plug it right into this other pigtail, just like this. Guys, now we're gonna get into the fun stuff, the wiring here. All you're really gonna care about is the black and the red wire. The black wire is gonna go to any chassis ground on the car, so anywhere you find a ground back there. And then the red wire is going to go to an accessories switch 12-volt source. So what I mean by accessory switch is by when you put the key in the car and you turn it to the right and everything lights up, that's a switched power source. So you're going to want to look for that. The way how you find that is by using a power probe, or you can use a test light like this. This is how you would use a test light. You ground it right there using that, and you get this, and you're going to probe in here on the fuses and see how this one's going to light it up like so. That means that's a constant power because the car does not have the key in it. Now if I put the key in the car, see how those lights turned on? I'm gonna check this guy. You see how that slid up? Now I'm gonna turn the car off. All right, the car is off now. Check it again. And just like that, we know this is a switched 12-volt source. So that's how you would use this. So we're gonna grab the red wire and put it into that fuse. And we're gonna get our ground wire and we're gonna ground it anywhere back there. Where I typically like to use a grounding location at is right here. There's a nut behind there. I like to use this for grounding. Or if you want, you can use like a cell tapper and just you can use a cell tapper and drill into here for a ground reference. All right guys, we got our power right there on that 15 amp fuse, and under here you can see that we are grounded too. Let's go ahead and test it out real quick and make sure that this GFB has power. And it does. All right, so now that we got the wiring situated, we're gonna go ahead and pretty much clean all this up in here, make it nice and pretty, put it in the corner probably over there. In case you guys are curious what these are used for, this yellow wire right here, if you have an AFR sensor, you can actually integrate it with the GFB 3 series models. You can use this and tap into your AFR gauge so that way you can have it work in conjunction with each other. And I want to say this blue wire is for a signal, so you can actually control it from like a Haltech. So like in our case, we have a Haltech, but I'm not going to show you guys how to do that in this video. We'll be doing that in a separate video on how to do that, as well as wiring on the AC module and an AFR gauge that this customer also has. But nonetheless, guys, that's pretty much it. We're gonna go ahead and clean this up in here, and we're gonna move on to the 3-port boost solenoid. So I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like. We're gonna be using this right here, since this is a top mount manifold or external wastegate style. If you were internal, you would use this. If you're external, you use this. All right, so I know you guys can't see it, but port 2 is on this side and port 1 is on this side. So port 2 is easy. All you do is get a vacuum line and run it from the port 2 side of the solenoid all the way down to the top part of the wastegate, which is right there. So you can barely see it right there. Now port 1's a little different. So what you do with port 1 is you have to tee into a vacuum source. So port 1 goes from the bottom port of the wastegate to right here to this T fitting. On this T fitting, 1 goes to port 1. On this side, the T fitting goes to a vacuum source. And it just so happens that I'm going to be using the vacuum source from the Seco solenoid that goes to the turbo right here on the bottom part. I know you guys can't see it, but there's a nipple right here, and that's what we're using for vacuum reference. So this is how it's supposed to be ran, like that. If you guys don't have this, don't worry about it. You can just run it straight to the compressor housing, and that would be fine. So that's how you do the plumbing for the solenoid. Now for the actual controller, the other small vacuum line. So this small vacuum line that we ran earlier to the firewall right here, this one we're gonna tee into right here. We're gonna be running this vacuum line all the way to right here, put a T fitting here, and then we're gonna go ahead and tee into the green and white check valve. So we're gonna be on the green side of the check valve, and that's gonna be our reference. It looks a little different though, because I do have a T right here, because this is actually going to my boost gauge as well. So it's fine to use this for reference, since they're both technically boost gauges. Pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's fairly quick, simple, and easy to install a boost controller for the Genesis Coupe. Not really hard at all, as you can see in the video. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about the install, go ahead and drop a comment down below, or hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. You guys know where to find me at prodigy_performance. And yeah, hope you guys liked this video. Peace out, guys. See you guys in the next one.